Life. Every second of every day your body works to keep you well and alive. But how does it do this? What steps do the cells that make up you take to maintain your livelihood? We shall explore these cellular processes and how they keep you alive on this episode of To More Onward the Science Guy. Associates, today we will explore the science of cellular processes. But before we jump into it, we need to go over some key terms to make sure we are informed on the matter. Homeostasis, the tendency towards a relatively stable equilibrium between the interdependent elements, especially as maintained by physiological processes. Diffusion, the movement of particles from an area of high concentration to an area of low concentration through a semi-permeable membrane. Facilitated diffusion, regular diffusion, but it needs the help of a carrier protein, but does not require the use of energy. Osmosis, when molecules of a solvent tend to pass through a semi-permeable membrane from a less concentrated solution into a more concentrated area. Concentration gradient, the process of particles moving through a solution from an area of higher number of particles to an area of a lower number of particles. Hypertonic, having a higher osmotic pressure than a particular fluid, typically a body fluid or intracellular fluid. Hypotonic, having a lower osmotic pressure than a particular fluid, typically a body fluid or intracellular fluid. Active transport, the movement of ions or molecules across the cell membrane into a region of higher concentration and is assisted by energy, ATP. Passive transport, the movement of ions or molecules across a cell membrane without the use of energy, ATP. Endocytosis, the taking in of matter by a living cell by invagination of its membrane. Exocytosis, the exiting of matter by a living cell in invagination of its membrane. To keep you well and alive, the cells in your body are constantly fighting to maintain homeostasis.
As you already know, homeostasis is the balance of condition within the cell in order to live.
However, homeostasis isn't just confined to the cellular level. Your entire body undergoes homeostasis in order to keep you healthy.
Your body maintains homeostasis in a variety of ways. One of which is by maintaining a constant temperature, like sweating when you get hot or shivering when you get cold.
Another way your body does this is by transporting nutrients and other molecules from the food you eat across your body.
However, today we'll be focusing mainly on homeostasis at the cellular level, which is maintained by keeping the concentrations of ions, nutrients, and waste constant, as well as by maintaining a constant temperature and pH level.
This poses the question, how do these cells keep these conditions constant? To answer this question, we must look at the multitude of diverse cellular processes the cells undergo.
That includes metabolism, energy conversion, molecular transport, and other processes.
Thank you.
Metabolism is a set of chemical reactions a cell must undergo to maintain life, whether they be catabolic, which break down larger molecules into smaller ones, or anabolic, which build up larger complex molecules.
Energy conversion is when a cell stores energy between the chemical bonds of the molecule adenosine triphosphate and eventually releases it by splitting off the phosphate, producing adenosine diphosphate. This release of energy allows the cells to perform many major processes essential to its continual well-being.
However, while these processes are extremely important to the livelihood of the cell, the star of today's show is molecular transport. So what exactly is molecular transport and how does it work?
To be brief, molecular transport is the transport of molecules in and out of the cell. The main organelle associated with molecular transport is the cellular membrane.
This membrane is composed of a phospholipid bilayer, which consists of hydrophilic, which means water-loving heads that face away from the center of the membrane, and hydrophobic, which means water-hating tails that face towards the center of the membrane.
So what makes this membrane so important?
The answer is simple. It is the gatekeeper of the cell.
Meaning that it controls what goes in and out of the cell.
There are two major different ways that molecules pass through the membrane. Passive, and there are two major different ways that molecules pass through the cell membrane. Passive and active transport.
The major difference between these two are the use of energy.
Passive transport does not use energy, while active transport does.
There are many different types of passive transport,
Including simple diffusion, facilitated diffusion, and osmosis.
Simple diffusion is when the particle moves to equalize its concentration throughout a solution or down its concentration gradient.
Man, this piece is taking a while to get here. How can I maintain my homeostasis?
Someone say pizza. Certain small non-polar molecules can pass through the cell membrane freely, including water, ammonia, carbon dioxide, and oxygen.
Other molecules are too large to pass through the membrane and require the help of a protein channel to move through it.
When a molecule enters a cell whilst moving with the concentration gradient and requires the help of a carrier protein, it's called facilitated diffusion.
A facilitated diffusion occurs if a carrier protein fuses with the molecule needed to pass over the membrane and changes its shape to allow said molecule to travel through the membrane. It does not use energy in this process.
Another type of passive transport is osmosis, the diffusion of a solvent across the cell membrane, usually water, due to the different concentrations of the solute within the cell and the solution the cell is in.
Osmosis can affect a cell differently depending on whether the solution a cell is in is a hypotonic, hypertonic, or isotonic solution.
If a cell is in an isotonic solution, the concentration of all solutes are equal or around equal throughout the cell and the solution it's in.
If the cell is in a hypotonic solution, the concentration of the solvents within the cell is greater than the surrounding solution.
In the isotonic solution, the trade-off of water molecules between the cell and the solution is relatively equal. If the humans represent water molecules and the pool a cell, it would look like this. In the hypotonic, and that one. The hypertonic solution, the water molecules rush out of the cell and the cell becomes shriveled or crenated. If the humans represent water molecules and the pool a cell, it would look like this. In the hypotonic solution, the water molecules rush into the cell and the cell becomes swollen or lysed. If the humans represent water molecules and the pool a cell, it would look like this. We did an osmosis lab and made a hypotonic solution from gummy bears. As you can see, this one has multiplied in size and weight after only 6 hours of being submerged in water. Because of the lack of any dissolved sugars, gelatins, or any other molecules in the water molecules rushed into the gummy bear cell to equalize the concentration, which has enlarged the cell remarkably. So as you can see, your body does many things to keep you well and alive.
So give yourself a round of applause for being so great.
See you future scientists on the next episode of To More Onward the Science Guy.
Welcome to my mine. We are mining diamonds. We are not a strip mine. We don't have to fry 'em up.